That's us. We're the Ghostbusters. That was Ray Parker Jr. That was another of the songs requested by the listeners this evening. To mark Halloween, 08717 223344 is the number to call me, as Clive in North London did, and I've kept him waiting, for which I apologise. Go ahead, Clive.
No, George, it was just I wanted to pick you up on those comments regarding Israel and the American election.
Ah, yes.
I just wondered why sort of you take the opportunity to be so negative about Israel, and whether you...
Maybe because it's broken more international laws than all the other countries in the world put together. Maybe because it's defied more United Nations Security Council resolutions than all the countries of the world put together. Maybe because it has occupied its neighbours and for years, in some cases decades. Maybe it's because millions of Palestinians have been caused untold misery under occupation or in exile as a result of the policies of Israeli governments. Maybe because I think Israel is run by mass murderers. That might be some of the reasons why I was so negative, Clive.
You don't see any positives you could put forward to your listeners?
Not a single one, but I'm happy for you to do so.
Well, I can think of a few.
Then please do.
I would imagine it's the only democracy in that part of the world.
Well, it ain't much of a democracy if you're a Palestinian living under occupation for 40 years, Clive. Can you get your head round that figure? 40 years. There's been no democracy for the Palestinians under military occupation for 40 years.
And what about the Israeli Arab population? Not get full democratic and voting rights in Israel, the same as a Jew?
As a matter of fact, they don't. They get full voting rights, that's for sure, but they don't have full democratic rights. For example, there are large stretches of Israel in which only Jews are allowed to live, and only Jews are allowed to buy property. And the so-called Israeli Arabs are in fact third, maybe even fourth-class citizens. First come the Ashkenazi Jews, the European Jews. Second come the Sephardic Jews. Third come the Falasha African Jews from Ethiopia. And fourth come the Israeli Arabs. As any Israeli progressive, like many of the Israeli progressives we've had on this radio show, would tell you if you wanted to listen.
And what about the free practicing of all the major religions?
Well, I'm not sure that that's true either. It's certainly not true in occupied Jerusalem, because regularly people who want to pray at both the Church of the Holy Sepulchre on the Temple Mount or the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest shrine in all of Islam, from which Muslims believe the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven on a white horse, are regularly forbidden to pray there. And Bethlehem, of course, the birthplace of Jesus of Nazareth, is occupied by Israel, militarily, and besieged and surrounded by a wall. And indeed, the Church of the Nativity, where Jesus was born, was actually set on fire by Israeli tank fire just a few years ago.
But how would you say that compares to the rights of Jews who live in the Arab countries?
Well, it depends which Arab countries you mean. There are countries in the Arab world where Jews are living and have lived happily for hundreds of years. By the way, and they've lived there for hundreds of years since they fled Christian Europe under the protection of the Muslims on the retreat of the Islamic Empire in Andalusia, because the Jews knew that the return of Christian rule in Andalusia would mean a return to pogrom and repression of them. So countries like Morocco, like Tunisia, like Algeria have still got strong and well protected and well cherished Jewish communities. Or we could talk not about an Arab country, Clive, but about a Muslim country called Iran, which has the largest contingent of Jews outside of Israel in that region, who live an honoured place in the Islamic Republic of Iran, as they are always keen to tell us.
I think that's a slightly rose-tinted view, to be fair. I think you'd be lucky to find 100 Jewish families living in Algeria.
Well, that might be true in Algeria, but there's many thousands in Morocco next door.
I just think there must be...
Clive, don't just segue away from that, please. There are thousands of Jewish families living happily in Morocco next door.
I'm not sure about thousands anymore, because most of them immigrated, and in fact I know many.
Clive, I can assure you that it's thousands. Trust me on that. And just acknowledge it. Can't you find it within yourself to acknowledge it?
Listen, let me tell you something, John.
Clive, can't you find it within yourself to acknowledge that in Morocco, an Arab Muslim country, a significant number of Jewish families live honoured, cherished and protected lives? Can't you bring yourself to concede that?
Oh, I will concede that.
Well, that's good, because it took me 3 goes to make you concede it. Now go on.
But what I'm saying to you, George, is that I think you always look at the negative. There are very many...
Well, there are quite a few negatives, Clive. That's kind of why I'm leaning that way. But I'm giving you the opportunity. Unusually, I'm giving you now... Clive, listen to me. I'm giving you the opportunity to justify Israel's position on the many points that I have made. Go on.
Well, listen, you've also got to bear in mind the strategic problems that Israel faces. In terms of its actual size, it's probably not 100th of the land taken up by the Arab countries around it.
But it has 220 nuclear weapons, Clive. That's a bit more important than the question of its size.
Yeah, but hold on, Britain's got nuclear weapons.
Yes, and we're not very big either. But the fact that we've got nuclear weapons means that nobody can invade us, because we'll fire nuclear weapons at them. It makes us militarily impregnable. And Israel is militarily impregnable. It's a superpower. It has the most powerful military in the region. By far, it could obliterate every single Arab and Muslim capital in an afternoon, just by pressing a button. So please don't try the plucky little Israel trick with me, because it don't work.
No, listen, you're right about the nuclear weapons, but what I'm saying is it needs to be impregnable, because if it didn't have them, it would be wiped off the map.
But why is that, Clive? You have to ask yourself, why has Israel so many enemies in the region in which it sits? Let me venture and allow you to comment on the reason that might be. It might be because there used to be a country called Palestine that was wiped off the map. It wasn't wiped off the map by Ahmadinejad of Iran. It was wiped off the map by the founders of Israel. The Palestinians had their land taken, their name wiped off the map, and millions of them have spent the last 60 years, Clive, living either under military occupation or scattered to the 4 corners of the earth as statusless, paperless, passportless, nationalityless, refugee existence. Don't you think that's likely to cause a bit of trouble, Clive?
I do, but listen, I can show you works by non-Jewish authors, Christian authors with no axe to grind, people like Randall Weiss, that have basically shown there's many Arab historians that say the Palestinians aren't even a genuine people.
Ah, the Palestinians aren't even a genuine people. What are they then? Are they avatars? Are they just a computer image? Are they ghostly figures who flit around because it's Halloween? What do you mean they're not a genuine people?
Listen, I'm only telling you what historians...
Never mind telling me what unknown historians say. You said that they are not a genuine people. What are they then? Are they a figment of our imagination? Are these refugee camps filled with figments of our imagination, or are they real men, women and children who bleed and shiver and starve and suffer? Are they real, Clive, or are they not a genuine people?
Listen, they are real people. I'm talking about giving them the status of being a nation.
Ah, I'm being told to move on, which is a pity, because I quite liked knocking your arguments around the ring, because they were, frankly, so transparently weak. Here is Carol in Bow. Go ahead, Carol.
Oh, my goodness.